Well, good morning. My name is Scott. Welcome to my YouTube channel, StaticCampervan. Good morning from the river. Can you see the river from here? I'm not sure, but that is the Mad River behind us. And I thought that this would be a good place to make a pizza today. Take in the view, have a little good food. Looks like a good spot, I think. So this little park that we're at today is managed by the Humboldt Bay Municipal Water Supply, and they have this set up as a little open space area for hiking as well as river access to the Mad River behind us here. And they also have a disc golf course. There were a bunch of people playing disc golf when I drove in here this morning. Not something I do, but I thought that this would be a good spot to check out. Figured it would be a nice spot to look at the river, have a nice view of the river while I am making some good food. Hopefully that pizza I make later will turn out well. But I haven't been out to this spot before, so I thought this was a good chance. Plus, there are advantages to me driving out to this spot. This area is right up the road from my favorite coffee roaster, so it was an opportunity for me to pick up a new bag of beans and have them make me up a latte, which I had them put in my own cup. Something I've been trying to do more nowadays, instead of putting it in a paper cup, which actually paper cups have plastic. You probably already know that, but so I've been trying to just take my mug in, have them make me a coffee. So it was a good opportunity to do that. So I have a latte that got made fresh for me and got some fresh beans ready to go so I won't run out this week. And I get to check out a new place here, new to me. I have been out to this spot before. There are two different parks here, two different places to park up and check out this open space. I've always gone to the other one, which is half a mile closer to Fog Line down the road, but I thought this one would be better because get a little bit better view of the river here. The only thing about this spot is it's a little bit noisier versus the other one. There's that pumping station there. There's another one just down the river a little ways too. So they're a little bit noisy. I think the other spot is probably a little quieter, but you've got a lot longer of a walk to get down to the Mad River. Now, since this river is named the Mad River, if you're watching from North America, you may wonder why this river is angry. And I don't have the answer to that. I really don't know. If you're watching from Great Britain, you may be wondering why this Mad River is crazy. And again, I really don't have the answer to that. If I want pizza later, I need to do a little bit of prep work right now. And this is going to be pretty easy prep work because I have a little cheats here. I bought some pizza dough. I went down to the local food co-op. We have a food co-op here in Eureka called North Coast Co-op. Well, we're not in Eureka right now, but there is a food co-op in Eureka called North Coast Co-op, and they make really good pizza dough. And I think it's fantastic because it's sourdough, so it's actually fermented dough. And so I'm taking advantage of the fact that I have this available to me here, although I don't need this whole thing. So what I'm going to do is just split this in half. I'll put half of it back in the fridge, and then I'll leave the other half out and let it get up to room temperature so I can actually work this into a pizza. So I'm just going to take the half of this dough and put it into a bag that I have a little bit of olive oil in. I'm just going to coat that all in olive oil. I do that so it, one, doesn't stick to the bag quite so much, and two, I want lots of olive oil on the outside of my pizza dough for flavor. So that is good. This one will go back in the fridge, and then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm just going to add a little bit more olive oil. They use olive oil in their recipe, but I want lots and lots of olive oil on mine, so just take this opportunity to just rub some olive oil on the outside of this pizza ball, pizza dough ball, and then I will just cover it up What did I do with the twist tie? I'll just use a clip here. Cover it up to keep the air off of it. And then I want this to come up to room temperature. I keep my fridge so incredibly cold that this takes quite a little while for it to come up to room temperature. It was down kind of in the bottom portion of my fridge, so it was about 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is going to need a bit of time to get to room temperature, so that's why I need to do this early and just leave this out. And the nice thing about my kitchen setup here is I've got this stainless steel countertop, so it'll suck some of the cold out of the pizza ball here quickly and get that to room temperature pretty quick. Only thing is, it's a little chilly out still. That's the way our summers here are in Humboldt. This is regular summertime weather. It might get to be 62 degrees today, maybe, but right now it's still under 60 degrees, so that's why I'm saying it's going to be a little while before that is warmed up and ready to use. And meanwhile, I can enjoy my coffee. It's kind of a nice treat to get a latte made because I just don't do this very often anymore. I woke up not feeling good this morning, so I almost called this off and didn't come out here, but I kind of forced myself up and out, partly because I already had the stuff for the pizza, but of course I thought, I could just stay in town and make the pizza somewhere in town. But I did need more coffee beans, so that was kind of a factor in forcing myself to come out here. But the biggest thing that got me up and out of bed this morning was I parked near the police station and it got really noisy. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if they were chasing somebody down or what was going on, but I just kept hearing police sirens and it kept going. Every few minutes there was another one, and apparently I was parked right near the police station right downtown. So it was quiet all night long. It was just this morning it just started to get really noisy with the sirens. So that was the thing that just told me, just get up and get going. And then I thought, now that I'm up, I might as well just head out here. Do need those coffee beans. I don't like to run out. But just wanted to get away from the noise. So definitely away from the noise here now. This is pretty nice. Although I have to admit, last night was pretty quiet, and this is just the thing that happens to me from time to time. I always park on a city street somewhere, just a random city street somewhere, so every once in a while I randomly get on a street that is just noisy. But I should just say it was very quiet all night long. Just whoever the thugs and thieves or whatever was going on that got the police out and about this morning, they were the ones that caused all the noise that happened. But this is much better, I think. I should probably tidy up a little bit while I'm sitting here. Didn't realize I still had my towel out from yesterday. I stopped at my gym yesterday and took a shower. I only really use the gym to take a shower and to use the massage chair. That's all I do in there. I go in, take a shower, sit in the massage chair, and then leave. I don't ever use it as a gym necessarily. So got that dried out. I don't really have a good place to put that, so I just hang it up here. I've got this bungee cord that I set up here so I can have a place to dry it out. It takes a few minutes. It's always kind of damp here. We're right close to the ocean, and this is the Pacific Northwest here, so the air is always a little bit kind of damp anyway. So it takes a little while. So I need to find a better place to dry that out. Not really sure where to set that up. On my old van, I had some areas that I had set up on my back doors, but those back doors opened like barn doors. They opened out, so I could attach stuff to them and use that kind of as extra storage space or extra space to dry my towels. Actually, I guess I had a big long bungee cord in the old van too, so I would just hang it up across the whole back end of the van. But this one, since I've got that swing up door, it's just a little different. You know, I can't really put anything on the door. I have been thinking about maybe trying to take the plastic piece off the back of the door and maybe try to cut some holes in it to have some storage in there. But it's just that because it opens up, I got to figure out a way to keep everything in there. Maybe put a net on it. I don't know. That's probably not something I'm going to do right away, to be honest. So probably won't really get to do that anytime soon. I'm just thinking, you know, because there's just a couple little things that happen. Like if I'm out in the rain, I've got to, you know, hang up maybe my pants or my rain jacket for a little while. So I would like a couple of places to hang stuff up. Although I just now remembered I've got some hooks. Maybe that's one of those things I can go dig out and set up a hook over here. That would solve half of the problem. I found them. You're probably going to think I'm a pack rat, but I've had these for years. Long before I lived in my van. These were the shower curtain rings for when I was renting a room from a friend a long time ago, and I've only got a couple of them left. So I think one of these will work quite well as a little ring up here. Yeah, that'll sit up there. And then I can just hang something off of there, you know, hang a jacket or something at night. Probably not the best spot because, you know, I don't have a whole lot of room and it'll interfere with the fridge, but I think at night it'll do the trick of what I need. I don't know what I'm going to do with the second one. Maybe in another 9 years I'll find a use for this one, so I'll just set this one aside, probably put it back in my tool bag and have to search for it again 9 years later. Now I just want to do a little cleanup here. Let me get this out of my way, wash up my hands, and what I want to do is just kind of roll that dough ball up a little bit. It'll make it a little easier for me to work with if it's nice and round. Wow, that's a really good magnet. I just bought these clips yesterday when I was doing my shopping, and that is a fantastic magnet they've got on these. That's great. Okay, so that for this to really be easy to work with, we want it to kind of be smooth. The other thing is I kind of want to work some of the olive oil into the dough a little bit. So I'm just going to take this and just kind of work it. I'll just push the dough in with my fingers and pull the top over until I get it nice and smooth, and that'll get a little bit more of that olive oil inside and help flavor it up. You know what I should have done? Let me put this back in the bag. Let me just wipe off my countertop here. This is just some white vinegar I keep in a spray bottle. Just give my countertop a quick wipe here. And then now I can take this little dough ball and actually set it on the countertop and form it up a little bit. All right, that's about what I want there. So then it's still a little bit cold. It was just warm enough just now to kind of work it, but we'll have to let this sit for a little while longer. I'll just get that back in the olive oil. I don't know what I was going to say there for a second. Let me actually put a little bit more olive oil on this and just drizzle a little bit more on this, cover it up and let it warm up completely. And the great thing is this is all the prep I really need to do, because everything else is going to be pretty simple. So I'll just let that sit there until that warms up. So that means I've got some time on my hands, which is actually good because I'm still not feeling good at all. So I think I may just lie down for a minute or two, since I don't really have a whole lot left to do. Oh, I guess I need to put my coffee beans away from Fogline. That's it. It's my favorite coffee and my favorite coffee roaster, if you're interested. Anyway, I'm gonna take a little nap, I think. You can watch the river if you'd like. It's been about an hour and a half, and I did not take a nap. I actually don't feel good enough to nap, believe it or not. This is probably not the best day to be making pizza. I've been craving pizza. I've been wanting to make some for quite a while, and making it on a day that I'm not gonna really enjoy it. It kind of seems like maybe it's gonna be a bit of a waste of time to make it today, or possibly, let's think positively, right? Maybe the pizza will improve my feeling. We'll see. I did notice one thing. It is warming up outside, and one of the little issues I've had in this van, comparing it to my last van, is the separation I have between the front and the back here. I can feel heat just pouring in here, and it's not hot outside. I think it's probably 63, maybe 64 degrees outside. But it's nice and cool in here, but when I get close to this divider, it's definitely hot. And what this is 2 layers of blackout curtains. I had one of these sets of blackout curtains from my old van, which I moved over into this van, but I noticed that they're not exactly blackout curtains. You can see right through them. On the box, they actually say that they're 100% light blocking, and they're not. The reason I know that is because I bought a second set of them thinking that they were a different brand, and got back to the van and realized, oh, they're the same brand as the old ones that I have been using. So that's why I doubled them up, and doubled up, they're pretty good. They're pretty good light blocking. I don't really need them to be totally light blocking, but I thought that if they were a heavier weave, that they would hold back a little bit more heat. And the difference with this van versus my last van was I was really only using the set of these that I had in the other van as more like curtains. What I was using to kind of keep the heat back as insulation really was a sleeping bag, and I had cut the sleeping bag down the outside of it so that I had it hanging up so that I had the zipper in the center, so I could zip it open and kind of look through if I needed to. But I usually just kept it zipped shut. I just didn't like the look of that old sleeping bag, and so I bought these blackout curtains because I just wanted something black to cover them up, so I didn't have to look at that old sleeping bag. So I didn't really realize that they weren't 100% light blocking like they say they are. I forget the brand that they are, but I looked all over for something else and ended up buying the same ones because I just needed that specific size, and I ran around all over the place. I bought these when I was in LA a few months back, and the only place that I found them finally was at a Walmart, so apparently I bought the first set at Walmart is what I'm guessing, but I wish I could tell you what the brand was, because if you want 100% light blocking, don't buy those, whatever they were. Anyway, it's working for privacy, and it's working a little bit to keep some of the heat back, but that's definitely going to need a little bit of attention. Going to have to put something up for insulation wise there, because on these warmer days, 64 degrees, I would like to keep some of the heat up in the cab instead of migrating back here. Now the dough is just about ready. It's starting to puff up in size, and it's warmed up, so it's room temperature now. So I think by the time I get the other things prepped, the dough will be ready to cook. So let's get to pizza making. So our first priority is to prepare our pepperoni. I couldn't think of any more words that would start with a P, so that's all we've got. I have some of this uncured pepperoni from a company called Zoe's, and yeah, I do have to slice this myself. A little bit of a pain, but I only eat uncured pepperoni, so it doesn't have any nitrates in it. I have some issues with nitrates, so I avoid them at all costs. So a little bit of extra work on this, but what I need to do is I'll slice this up. This is actually really good, tasty pepperoni too. I should just mention that part as well. Another reason that I like this one from Zoe's Meats is that it just tastes really good, and it's just got a nice, clean flavor to it. So I'm going to slice this up, and then I'm going to pan fry it, because I found that I can make pizza just fine without an oven here, because obviously I don't have an oven living in a minivan. But if I want the pepperoni to be like it is out of an oven, I need to do one little step, and that is I'm going to cook it in my pan. So I'll get these all sliced up, and then I'll just cook these off for a few minutes until they get nice and brown and crispy all around, and then that way it'll kind of mimic like they've been through an oven. This is pretty messy, so what I do is I turn my vent fan on. You could probably hear it running because this makes a bunch of smoke, and there's just no way around it. But I think it's kind of an important step to do, because otherwise the pepperoni's not really going to get cooked. It'll get heated through when we cook the pizza, but it's not really going to get crispy and cooked like it would in an oven. And so I think this is kind of vital to kind of replicate that kind of oven texture that the pepperoni picks up, or should pick up, in a proper oven. So I do mine a little on the darker side, so that's why you see them. They're a little dark there. That's the way I like them. So I'll just drain these off on a paper towel, and then gonna have to let my pan cool down a little bit because it's ripping hot. Clean that out, because this is the pan that we're gonna cook the pizza in. But while I'm waiting for that, I will go ahead and cut my cheese. I've got a mixture of, I'll use a mixture of Monterey Jack and also some sharp cheddar. Well, this is medium cheddar, I guess. I would prefer sharp cheddar, but this is what I've got. So I'll just chop this up. And I don't have a grater. I don't have a cheese grater. I actually hate cheese graters, so that's why I don't have one. But I actually think that slicing the cheese works better the way we're going to cook it. So I'm just going to do little slices of this, and I'll do probably about 1/3 of cheddar to 2/3 of the Monterey Jack. Most of it I want it to be Monterey Jack because I want that chewy texture. I could have bought mozzarella, which is more traditional, but I don't really use mozzarella for anything, and I think Monterey Jack has a nice flavor to it, better than mozzarella in most cases, and I can use it in other things, so that's why I bought Monterey Jack instead. Yeah, I just washed out my pan with some soap and water. One thing I've learned is if I don't wash out that pepperoni oil, it will burn the bottom of the pizza. Now, olive oil is okay. I don't seem to have a burnt pizza with that, but pepperoni oil, not so good. So definitely want to give that a good clean. Now the pan is still pretty hot, which is good because I'm going to get the heat back on this. And then I'm going to put my other pan on top, if I can get this out of here. So I'm going to use my other really heavy duty pan here as a lid, and this will make our little pizza oven. So I'm going to actually just turn this right down to low and just let that sit and warm up while I get the pizza kind of prepped and ready to get in the pan. Now I think we are ready to cook off the pizza crust. So I'm going to get my dough out and just kind of push it out to about the size of my pan. And sometimes you can do this on the countertop. Sometimes you have to kind of lift this up and kind of do it with your fingers, like you see the real pizzerias do. I don't toss the dough up in the air. One, I don't have the room for it, but two, that's a different type of dough that tosses in the air. That's more theater than anything else, if you ask me. So I'm just going to pat this out, and this might take a minute or two. If it wants to just go back and shrink in size, just let it sit for a couple of minutes, and then it'll get pliable again, and you can pull it out. Because I've got a bunch of olive oil on this, it does take a little bit more effort to get it to stretch it out into its shape. But I think that's just about it. Now when I do this, because I don't have a real oven, I'm going to have to cook this on two sides. So I'll start it on one side, put it in the pan on one side, and then give it kind of a half a cook. Then I'll come in and flip it over, and then we could build the rest of the pizza and then bake it all the way through at that point. So this is going to cook pretty quickly because I've got the olive oil on the outside of that pizza dough. It's going to brown up really fast as well, so I just got to kind of keep my eye on it. I want the olive oil for flavor, but it does mean that it'll burn a little bit quicker. So if you do have trouble, if you try this and you have trouble with it burning too fast, just make sure you turn your heat all the way down as low as it can on your flame. And if you're still having a problem, you may not want to add any more extra olive oil on the outside of the dough. That's one way to kind of get around that. So this should be pretty close or cooked. So let's check it here. Let's get under the edge. I think it's going to be done. Oh yeah. So at this point, I'm going to flip it over. Actually, I didn't think this through very well. Let me flip this over onto my plate, my one and only plate. I think this is just about perfect. It's cooked almost halfway through, so that's exactly what I wanted. And now for pizza sauce, I'm going to go really simple here. I'm just going to use a can of crushed tomato. I do like the fire roasted cans of tomato if you can find them. They just have more flavor, obviously. In the past, back when I was making pizza in a regular kitchen, I just at home, back when I had a house and all, I had a whole pizza sauce recipe that I used, and it was not traditional at all, but I liked it. It was really thick because I thickened up some tomato with some tomato paste, and I actually added some wine. I would take some red wine and reduce it down and do about a tablespoon and add that into the sauce. It was really good. Totally not traditional at all, but I liked it, and I kind of like a heavier sauced pizza. So you can see I've got way more sauce than you would get at a regular restaurant. That's okay by me. I like the extra sauce, so since I'm cooking for myself, I'm going to do that, you know. Now I'm just going to layer on my slices of cheese here, and I'm going to hold back a little bit because I'm going to add a little bit once we get it into the pan, but I'm just going to add some of this cheese right across. I maybe have a little more than I needed to chop up, but that'll be the chef's snack, right? Because nobody knows if you're working in the kitchen by yourself. Let's see, let me put my pepperoni on now too, because this is cold pepperoni by now, so we'll heat this up and let it melt into the cheese a little bit. And yeah, obviously I like a lot of pepperoni too. So get this back in here. This can be a little bit tricky because the bottom is not cooked, so it's going to want to stick a little bit. That's all right. That went better than it normally does. And then now I'm going to take some of this cheese that I had left from before, and I'm just going to drape this around the edges of the pan. Not a ton, but I just want to drape some around the edges of the pan. This will kind of melt and burn a little bit, onto the sides. So it'll be a little bit like a pan pizza. If you're used to like a Chicago style pizza or something, it'll be a little bit like that. I didn't really end up with much left over, so that's all my snack is. But that's okay, because we're almost ready to eat this. This is just going to be a few minutes. Let me get the top back on. Make sure my flame is at the lowest I can get it, and I'm just going to let this sit for a few minutes to finish its cooking. I used to use a bowl to top off my pan here to make the little oven, and this works out really well. I just found that the heavier duty pan here just makes a little bit more heat in this little oven. So whatever you have works. So if you don't have a bowl that'll fit, or another pan that'll fit, you can use a sheet pan, cookie sheets, or even just a piece of foil if that's all you've got, and just cover over the top of this. And it'll work just fine no matter what you use. The nice thing about putting a pan or a bowl on top is if you've got something big, you can fit something kind of bigger into your oven, where if you're putting just a cookie sheet or a piece of foil, it has to be pretty small, or at least, lower than the size of your pan. So just one of the little things I thought I'd mention if you try this for yourself. Invariably when I show little recipes that I do from time to time, people get after me for using the wrong ingredients or not adding an ingredient that they would want. And in this case, it's warranted because I did forget to buy garlic. So I would have liked to have some garlic on this. I would have put some garlic slivers on top of the tomato sauce, but I don't have any, so I'm not going to get hung up over it. But of course, there will be people that do get hung up over it and try to make a big, deal about it. But just a little pet peeve of mine is why I'm mentioning this. I don't have every ingredient on hand at all times. I live in a minivan, so I'm kind of limited. And yeah, I did forget to buy garlic. And no, I don't have powdered garlic. Powdered garlic and fresh garlic are two totally different ingredients. Back me up here if you know what I'm talking about. I don't happen to like powdered garlic at all, so I don't ever keep it on hand. There was at one time I did, but then I realized, they're not similar flavors. And so if I want garlic, I want real garlic, fresh garlic. So that's why I don't have any powdered garlic, if you're wondering. But yeah, this is the thing. You're cooking for yourself, so you're making things that you want to eat. So pepperoni pizza is my favorite pizza, so most of the time I am going to make pepperoni when I make a pizza, but I'll probably make something else with that other half of the pizza dough. But nobody will know that because I'm only making one pizza today. And this is almost done, I think. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Maybe just another minute or two, and then I'll get it out of here. It's got to be pretty close. Is it burnt on the bottom? It is not. But is it cooked all the way through? That's the other question. I think this is good to go. Let's see here. The bottom looks pretty good. It's not burnt. It feels like it's pretty well cooked all the way through. I'm going to let this sit for just a couple of minutes, and then I will attempt to cut it because I don't have a pizza cutter. So I find that since I have to use a knife to cut it, I'll just let it sit and kind of congeal and firm up a little bit so that I can actually cut it with a knife. If you like your pizza extra saucy like I do, it will be harder to get it to cook all the way through, so that's one of the things to keep in mind. Probably shouldn't sauce it up as much as I do. Would probably be better just to heat some on the side and add a little extra sauce on top. But because I'm just using the regular tomatoes, I just do it all in one step and then try my best to get it all cooked through. I think I did pretty good with this one, although this is not my best pizza of all time, but let's see what it tastes like. Yeah, no complaints from me here. They say practice makes perfect, but it's been quite a while since I've made a pizza, so I am out of practice. It wasn't the best pizza I've ever made, but it was okay. Definitely scratched the itch I've had. So I'm glad that I pushed myself to get out of the house this morning, figuratively, I guess. Let's try not to do that. Sorry. I think I better clean up my dishes here and the kitchen and probably head back into town. I'm still not feeling all that great. I do feel better now that I've eaten something. Maybe that was part of the problem. But yeah, I don't think this is going to be a long day today. Well, after a rough start to my morning, the day turned out pretty okay. So sometimes I forget about these river spots. I got to remember them more. I always just run straight to the ocean or straight up into the woods and forest areas and just totally forget about these river spots, and this is one of the good ones. So if you are around Humboldt, come and visit. I can encourage you to check out the river spots. This is one of many good river spots in the area here. But even though my day is going a little bit better, I'm still not feeling so great, so I should probably get back into Eureka. It's probably going to be about a 15 or 20 minute drive back into Eureka from here, so I'd better do that now. So I guess I will say to you, river, goodbye, you crazy, angry, mad river. See you next time. And to all of you, thanks for hanging out with me today, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.